You were given one final chance to become the person you used to be, and you refused. Not in a loud moment, not where anyone could praise you. It happened between feeling the old wound and choosing what you would do next. Chosen one. You had every reason to react. You could have sent the message. You could have reopened the door. You could have exposed what someone did, demanded an answer, or accepted less than you deserved, because uncertainty felt harder than repetition. A former version of you might have done exactly that. It wanted quick relief. It wanted control. It wanted proof that the pain mattered. But this time, something inside you paused long enough to recognize where the old road would lead. And that pause was your answer. You may still feel hurt. You may still feel angry. You may still question whether your choice was right. But the presence of emotion does not mean the old pattern still owns you, because feelings can remain after their authority begins to disappear. The final test is rarely a test of how much pain you can tolerate. You have already survived enough pain. The deeper question is whether familiar pain can still produce the familiar version of you. This time, it could not. That is why the silence after your decision has felt so strange. You expected an open door, an apology, a financial sign, or a sudden wave of certainty that would confirm everything. Do not mistake that quiet for rejection. Sometimes quiet is what remains when an old cycle can no longer speak through you. The first evidence of change is not always what enters your life, but what no longer controls your next move. God did not need a public performance to see what happened inside you. Your decision was made where character becomes visible, when no reward is guaranteed and no audience is watching. There are 5 signs that reveal whether you truly passed this test. None require an angel number, none depend on unexpected money, and none require the person who hurt you to return with an apology. The 5th sign is the one most people misunderstand. It explains why this test was connected to your calling, not merely to the situation that triggered you. It also explains why mental clarity will become a form of protection ahead. Before we reach that revelation, remember the moment that brought you here. What did fear demand? What would the old version of you have chosen before wisdom had time to speak? Then remember what you actually did. Maybe you waited. Maybe you prayed. Maybe you put the phone down. Maybe you walked away from an offer that required you to abandon your standards. That was not weakness. It was evidence. You discovered that power no longer had to look like immediate action. Write this in the comments. I will not return to the version of me I have outgrown. Do not write it to impress anyone. Write it as a record of the choice you already made. Your past may speak without commanding you. Your fear may rise without leading you. The most surprising part of your final test is not what you survived. It is who you refused to become again. And to understand why that matters, you must see the strange way a final test often arrives. It rarely looks like a test. It looks like an invitation. The final test often arrives after you believe the healing is complete. You prayed. You reflected. You forgave. You set boundaries. Then the same emotional pattern returned, wearing a different face and asking the same old question. Why is this happening again? That question can make you feel defeated. It can make you believe all your progress was imaginary. But the return of a trigger does not always mean the lesson failed, because knowledge and transformation are not proven in the same way. Knowledge tells you what you should do. Transformation reveals what you actually do when pressure enters the room. That is the final test paradox. The pattern returns, not because you are back at the beginning, but because your new response has never been tested under real pressure. The lesson must move from your thoughts into your choices. The surface changes, the invitation does not. It always asks you to trade your future for immediate relief. The old self wants speed. It wants the message sent now. It wants the answer forced now. It wants the discomfort removed now, even when the price is another season inside the same cycle. The new self creates space. It does not deny the feeling. It simply refuses to let the feeling make a permanent decision during a temporary storm. This is the first sign that you passed. You found a pause between the trigger and the action. That pause may have lasted only a few seconds, but it was long enough for wisdom to enter. Try this when pressure rises again. Give the emotion 90 seconds before you act. Breathe slowly. Keep your hands away from the phone. Let the first wave move through without turning it into a decision. You are not pretending the feeling is harmless. You are giving your deeper knowing time to speak. You are saying, "I can feel this," without surrendering command. The second sign is even quieter. You stop needing the person who hurt you to confirm what happened. But truth does not become true because the right person finally approves it. And your healing does not become valid because the person who wounded you learns how to apologize. This does not mean accountability is useless. It means your peace no longer depends on receiving accountability from someone unwilling to give it. You took that key back. Maybe you still wish they understood. Maybe part of you still wants the apology. But desire is different from dependence, and that difference shows how much authority the old cycle has lost. Write this in the comments. My peace does not require their agreement. Chosen one, this is why the test felt so personal. It touched the exact place where you once abandoned yourself to keep connection, gain approval, or escape uncertainty. But this time, you stayed with yourself. You did not run from the feeling. You did not hand your future to the person who caused it. That is not emotional coldness. It is spiritual maturity becoming visible through behavior. Still, one question remains. Silence can come from wisdom, but it can also come from fear. So how do you know whether you mastered the response or simply buried what you felt? The answer will reveal the third sign. It will also show why peace is not the same as pretending nothing happened. Silence can come from two very different places. One is fear, the other is clarity. From the outside, they may look identical, but inside your body and your choices, they leave different evidence. Silence from fear makes you smaller. You stay quiet because you are afraid to lose connection. You say nothing, but secretly hope the other person will notice your pain and rescue you from having to speak. Silence from clarity feels different. You know you could speak. You know you could defend yourself. But you also recognize that some conversations only consume energy without creating understanding. You do not remain silent because your voice has no value. You remain silent because your peace has more value. That distinction matters. Suppression hides an emotion and pretends it is gone. Self-command allows the emotion to exist, names it honestly, and chooses a response that protects the future. Ask yourself one simple question. Am I quiet because I feel powerless, or because I have already seen where this conversation leads? This is the third sign that you passed. You no longer need closure from the same source that created the wound. But the person who created confusion is not always capable of creating clarity. Waiting for them to become your healer can keep you emotionally tied to the very place you are trying to leave. Closure sometimes begins when you stop asking a closed door to explain why it closed. This is the silent choice. Nobody celebrates it. Nobody may even notice it. But it marks the moment when you stop negotiating with a pattern that has already given you its answer. The first reward of passing the test is not always a new relationship, more money, or a visible breakthrough. The first reward is that the old version of you no longer receives automatic control. You can feel lonely without returning. You can feel misunderstood without performing. You can feel angry without building your next decision around revenge. Imagine facing a similar trigger weeks from now. Your chest tightens, the old thought appears. But instead of losing the entire day, you recognize the pattern, breathe, and return to what matters. That future is not built by becoming emotionless. It is built by becoming trustworthy to yourself. This is where many people become confused. They make the right choice, yet their mind still feels tired. They expect peace to arrive instantly, but the body has spent years preparing for conflict. The decision may be complete while the nervous system is still learning safety. That delay does not mean you chose wrongly. It means your inner world may need time to catch up with the boundary you created. You passed because the pattern lost authority, not because every feeling disappeared. And now, a deeper question appears. Why can the right decision leave you mentally foggy, even when your spirit knows the choice was necessary? That question matters because the next season will require more than saying no to the past. It will require enough clarity to recognize what deserves your yes. The silence after the test is not the end of your story. It is the space where your mind begins preparing to meet the future your old reactions could never build. Passing an inner test does not force the outer world to change overnight. The same bills may remain, the same questions may still be unanswered, and the same people may still refuse to understand what you chose. That can feel unfair. You did the hard thing, you broke the pattern, yet nothing around you seems different. This is where many people become vulnerable to the old cycle, because they mistake delayed evidence for failed transformation. There are 3 kinds of delay after a final test. The first is emotional delay. Your decision can be clear while your body still expects the old conflict. You may feel tired, restless, or unusually quiet because your nervous system is learning that peace does not always require a fight. The second is environmental delay. People, opportunities, and circumstances do not always reorganize at the same speed as your inner life. A boundary can be set in one moment, but the consequences of that boundary may unfold slowly. That does not make the boundary less real. The third is recognition delay. Sometimes the next opportunity is already near, but your attention is still recovering from what just ended. You may be looking backward for proof while a new direction is forming quietly in front of you. This is the 4th sign that you passed. You can tolerate the empty space without filling it with an old choice. You do not reopen the door simply because the hallway feels lonely. You do not force movement simply because stillness feels unfamiliar. Calm is not passivity. Waiting is not always weakness. There is a difference between avoiding action and refusing to act from panic. Wise action can be delayed long enough for truth to become clear, because urgency often sounds like guidance when fear is holding the microphone. You are not being promised an apology. You are not being promised sudden money. You are not being promised that every relationship will return in a better form. The reward may first appear as clarity, stronger boundaries, or the courage to choose an opportunity that once would have frightened you. They pray for direction while living in constant distraction. They ask for opportunity while their attention is divided, exhausted, and pulled toward every old signal. Your spirit may be ready before your mind feels organized. Your heart may know the answer while your thoughts continue circling the same fear. That gap matters, because the next chapter may not announce itself with thunder. It may arrive as a quiet idea, a small opening, or one clear decision made at the right time. Later, you will hear about an 8-minute daily audio protocol described in the product material. It is presented as a tool designed to support a clearer and more integrated mental state. It is not a replacement for prayer, rest, wise counsel, or medical care. For now, remember this. The final test was not only about closing a door, it was also about becoming stable enough to notice which door deserves to open next. What happens when your intuitive knowing and your analytical mind stop pulling in opposite directions? That question leads to the clarity threshold. It is the point where spiritual readiness must meet mental readiness, because a calling can be present while the receiver remains surrounded by noise. Your test may be over, your preparation is not. The clarity threshold is the point where what your spirit knows must become something your mind can recognize, organize, and act upon. Many people are spiritually awake, yet mentally scattered. They sense direction, but they struggle to hold it long enough to move. You may feel that something meaningful is trying to emerge, but brain fog, overthinking, and constant distraction keep breaking the connection between insight and action. It may mean that spiritual readiness and cognitive readiness have developed at different speeds, and the next stage requires them to begin working together. Think about the way you experienced the world as a child. Imagination came quickly. Curiosity moved without permission. You could become absorbed in one idea, notice unusual connections, and create without asking whether every step would be approved. Then life became louder. Repetition replaced exploration, and the mind learned to protect itself by choosing what felt familiar. The product material describes this problem through the idea of whole-brain cooperation. It presents the analytical side of thinking and the intuitive side of pattern recognition as abilities that can support each other. One side can evaluate, the other can imagine. Neither must become the enemy. This is the clarity threshold. A calling can exist before you are ready to interpret it clearly. An opportunity can appear before you are calm enough to recognize its value. A powerful idea can arrive, but disappear beneath 10 open tasks, endless notifications, and the fear of choosing wrongly. Spiritual awareness does not remove the need for focused thinking. Faith can shape your direction, but clarity helps you notice the next practical step. Action then turns that recognition into a lived change. Without that bridge, people can spend years collecting messages while avoiding the decision directly in front of them. This is the fifth sign that you passed. You are no longer thinking only about escaping the past. You are beginning to think about building the future. The question has changed from, "How do I stop this pain?" to, "What am I now capable of creating?" That shift is easy to miss. It may begin as a desire to organize your mornings, finish one neglected project, learn a skill, or protect your energy before an important decision. These are not small signs. They reveal that survival is no longer the only language your mind understands. You have already done the hardest part. You changed the response. What remains is learning how to support the state that made that response possible. This does not require becoming emotionless, perfect, or endlessly productive. It requires building conditions where your best thinking has room to appear. Write this in the comments. My mind will support what my spirit already knows. Let those words become a commitment to cooperation inside you, not another demand for instant perfection. The next step is practical. The attached product material describes an 8-minute audio protocol intended to support communication between the two hemispheres of the brain. Its creators call the approach neural sync technology. It is not presented as a way to buy a calling. It is not a shortcut that removes effort. It is presented as a tool for people who feel ready within, but want a simple daily practice that may help support clearer and more integrated thinking. In the next part, you will hear exactly what the protocol is, how the material says it works, how it differs from generic brainwave tracks, and what you should understand before deciding whether it belongs in your routine. The product material calls this 8-minute audio protocol the Genius Switch. It is a digital audio track designed to be used with headphones while you sit or lie down, close your eyes, and allow the sequence to play. According to the material, the protocol uses what its creators call neural sync technology. The stated purpose is to support communication between the two hemispheres of the brain, so analytical thinking and intuitive pattern recognition can work in a more coordinated way. The material connects this idea with split brain research associated with Dr. Roger Sperry. It also presents Dr. Daniel Barone as a neurologist based in New York City. This distinction matters. The Genius Switch is not presented as a generic brainwave track. It is not described as a frequency that attracts money, forces manifestation, or replaces personal effort. The product positions itself around hemisphere, synchronization, and whole brain activation. The instructions are simple. Put on your headphones, close your eyes, relax your body. Listen for 8 minutes each day. Missing one day does not mean you failed. You simply return to the practice when you can. Consistency matters more than perfection, because the purpose is to support a repeatable state, not to create another ritual that makes you feel guilty. The product file includes personal testimonials. One account comes from Lisa in San Diego, who described feeling less like life was happening to her and more able to act with clarity. Another comes from Matthew in Houston, a Shopify business owner who described improvements in focus and work. These are individual experiences. They are not guaranteed outcomes. They should not be treated as promises of income, intelligence, healing, or success. Now, the product itself becomes clear. The Genius Switch is offered as a digital purchase with lifetime access. The material lists a regular price of $49 and an offer price of $39 on the official page. Because the product is digital, there is no shipping fee. The material also states that the purchase includes a 100% money-back guarantee. The package also includes several bonuses. These are a guided visualization, a smart grocery shopping guide, a classic manifestation book, and a 5 habits infographic. This is not something you buy to become chosen. It does not purchase favor from God. It does not replace prayer, sleep, medical care, wise counsel, or disciplined action. It is simply offered as a tool that may support a daily habit of clearer thinking. You are not buying a calling. You are building a routine that may help you hear yourself think clearly enough to honor what you already know. That is the most honest way to understand the offer. The material also warns that the actual sequence is distributed through the official product page. Tracks with similar names on YouTube, Spotify, or other marketplaces are not confirmed to use the same technology. If the idea speaks to you, use the official link in the description or pinned comment. Open the page calmly, read the claims, the guarantee, and the terms for yourself. Do not buy from fear. Do not buy because you think refusing will block a blessing. Buy only if the practice fits your needs, your budget, and your routine. $39 is still real money. The guarantee can reduce financial risk, but it cannot promise a specific personal result. You passed the test before this product was ever mentioned. The product does not create your worth. It is only one possible support for the clarity you now want to protect. The next question is whether this approach is truly different from everything you may have tried before. You may be thinking, I have tried brainwave audios before. I have listened to meditation tracks, affirmation recordings, and long playlists that promised focus. Nothing changed. That doubt is reasonable. You should not ignore it. The product material does not claim that every audio track works the same way. It presents the Genius Switch as a targeted sequence built around hemisphere synchronization, not as a generic sound that magically changes your life. That distinction does not prove a result for everyone. It simply explains how the product is positioned. You may also be thinking that $39 is still real money. It is. Do not spend money needed for food, rent, medicine, or another essential responsibility. A tool should support your life, not create a new source of pressure. The lifetime access and money-back guarantee may reduce the risk, but they do not erase the need for a calm decision. Another objection may be stronger. This sounds too good to be true. That reaction deserves respect. A scientific idea, a product mechanism, and a personal result are not the same thing. The product material describes the mechanism. The testimonials describe individual experiences. Neither should be turned into a guarantee that every listener will gain the same focus, income, or personal transformation. The guarantee exists, so a buyer can examine the experience for themselves. It does not prove that the product will work for every person. That is why you should read the official page, understand the terms, and decide without urgency, pretending to be wisdom. You may wonder why the track is not simply available on Spotify or YouTube. According to the product material, the actual sequence is distributed only through the official product page. Other tracks may use similar names, but that does not confirm that they use the same process or the same audio design. Then there is the question of time. 8 minutes can sound small, but even small habits can feel difficult when the day is crowded. The protocol is designed to fit into a short break, a quiet morning, or a moment before focused work. Do not listen while driving or during any task that requires full attention. Most importantly, do not connect this purchase with your spiritual worth. Buying does not prove faith. Refusing does not block a blessing. You already received the main lesson of this message without spending anything. Pause before reacting. Name the trigger. Protect your clarity. Choose what builds your future. Now, imagine a simple morning. You sit quietly. You listen for 8 minutes. Then you write down one important decision and choose one action that can be completed today. Instead of opening 10 tasks and finishing none, you give your attention to one clear step. That is the kind of change this tool is meant to support. Not instant perfection, not supernatural control. A calmer routine that may help you act with greater intention. If you are ready to examine it, use the official page linked in the description or pinned comment. Open it calmly. Read everything. Decide from clarity, not fear. Because the next danger is not that you failed the test, it is that you may slowly undo what you already proved. You proved that the old pattern no longer controls your first response. Now you must protect that progress. The test may be complete, but an old cycle can still knock again when silence begins to feel uncomfortable. One way people undo their growth is by checking the past repeatedly. They visit the old profile. They reread the old messages. They search for signs that the other person regrets losing them. Each small check seems harmless, but it keeps attention attached to a door they already closed. Another way is by giving the reward a deadline. You tell yourself that if nothing changes by a certain day, then your decision must have been wrong. But an inner shift does not become false because the outer result takes longer than expected. A third danger is treating one difficult day as total failure. You may feel lonely again. You may miss someone again. You may become angry again. None of that erases the choice you made. Healing is not proven by never feeling the old emotion. It is proven by refusing to let that emotion rebuild the old life. The fourth danger is collecting endless spiritual messages without taking one practical step. Insight can become another form of avoidance when it never enters your calendar, your boundaries, or your work. Sometimes the clearest sign is the responsibility already in front of you. Use this simple practice for the next 24 hours. First, make no permanent decision at the peak of a trigger. Let the first wave pass. Second, write one sentence describing what feels threatened. Is it your safety, your pride, your need for approval, or your fear of being alone? Then ask one question. Is this action building my future or soothing my wound? The answer may not feel comfortable, but it will reveal which version of you is trying to take control. Finally, choose one small action you can complete. Send the healthy message. Finish one page. Clean one space. Review one opportunity. Rest without checking the past. Clarity becomes trustworthy when it produces deliberate movement. The risk of waiting is not that God suddenly removes your calling. The risk is remaining in noise so long that you fail to recognize the opportunity when it arrives. A distracted mind can walk past an open door while still begging for a sign. The product material presents the Genius Switch at $39, and it states that this offer may not remain available forever. That should not be turned into panic. There is no need to invent a countdown. There is only a reason to examine the page when you are ready, rather than assuming the same terms will always remain. Now, we return to the question that has remained open from the beginning. How did God respond to what you did? The answer is not that God learned something unknown. The stunning part is the distance between the person who once reacted from pain and the person who can now choose through wisdom. You did not become emotionless. You became harder for the old pattern to command. In the final part, every open loop will close, and you will name the person this test revealed. How did God respond to what you did? The answer is not that God was surprised by information that had been hidden. The word stunned points to the meaning of the change, the distance between your old response and your new one. You were once controlled by the need for closure. Now you can leave without receiving it. You once believed immediate reaction was power. Now you understand that wisdom can pause. You once searched outside yourself for permission to trust what you already knew. The stunning part is not that you endured more pain. You have done that before. The stunning part is that pain arrived and could no longer choose who you became next. That is what the final test revealed. The test measured your identity under pressure. The silence followed because inner change often appears before the outer world reflects it. The fifth sign was your desire to build a future, not merely escape the past. Clarity matters because opportunity must be recognized before it can be acted upon. The genius switch remains one optional tool. According to the product material, it offers an 8-minute audio practice, lifetime access, included bonuses, and a money-back guarantee through the official page. It does not create your calling. It may support a routine of clearer thinking. Now, say these words slowly. I am not the reaction that once controlled me. I am not the door I had to close. I am not the silence someone used to punish me. I am the one who can feel deeply without abandoning wisdom. I am the one who can pause before choosing. I am the one who no longer calls repetition destiny. My past may speak, but it does not command. My fear may rise, but it does not lead. My mind is becoming clear enough to support the life my spirit has been preparing for. I will not return to the version of me I have outgrown. The test did not destroy me. It revealed me. Write this in the comments. The test revealed who I have become. Let that sentence mark the end of negotiation with the old identity. Share this message with someone who is questioning a decision they made in silence. Subscribe if you are ready for the next message about what happens in the silence after the final test. If you choose to examine the genius switch, use only the official link in the description or pinned comment. Read the full information, consider your budget, and make the decision calmly. Chosen one, heaven did not need you to make the loudest decision. It was watching whether you could make the clearest one, and this time you did.